How many friends have you made today? Chapter 11, The Coming Dawn. Anon looks down at Celestia as she continues to sleep. It wasn't long after their talk that she fell asleep on him with a smile plastered onto her lips. Anon, on the other hand, couldn't sleep for more than a few moments before he woke. It wasn't the usual nightmares that plagued him this night, it was something far more terrifying. He had a pleasant dream. Perhaps that would sound insane to the ponies of this world, maybe even to humans on his. However, Anon is used to nightmares. They are nothing more than the problems that he lives with every day of his life. They are comforting, in a way. Nice dreams are the true nightmares that he fears. They create a world that he cannot inhabit, a place of pure fantasy. The sweetest of dreams can be a nightmare when you have to wake up. This dream was different though. Usually his nice dreams were about him returning to Earth. However, this one puzzles him. It was just a simple dream of Celestia, Luna, and himself sitting in the gardens. Not a single word being spoken to each other, just enjoying the other's company. He woke up soon after, but rather than feel a dull ache inside of him, he felt happy. He won't deny that right now he's still questioning if all of this is a good idea or not. He knows that he doesn't want to lose either princess as a friend, and he also knows that they would never hurt him intentionally. But still, when you're as old as he is, change is a very hard thing to do. He finds his mind trying to fall back on what is natural for him. He just feels his emotions trying to hide themselves deep within himself. He lets out a quiet sigh. His worst enemy right now is himself. The only person he could ever count on is now against him. He chuckles a little at that thought. Who would have ever thought that they themselves could be the problem? He feels Celestia let out a sigh of content. She must have been having a lovely dream. He raises his hand and rests it on top of her head. Gently he begins to stroke her as she sleeps. The small smile on her lips seems to grow larger as he goes on. What has this princess done to him? He can feel himself smile as he looks at her, something that he hasn't done for a very long time. It feels unnatural for him to be feeling like this, to think this horse would one day bring him to where he is now. He can honestly say that he never expected such a change to happen when she came crashing through one of his windows. And now his mind wanders to the other sister. Luna is a great friend as well, always keeping him company whenever he couldn't sleep. He feels a grin growing on his face. Luna should be in night court right now. Maybe he'll pay her a visit. But he closes his eyes and gets comfy. She's probably bored out of her mind anyways. Princess Luna is bored out of her mind. She's been waiting for any of her subjects to enter her court since the night started. She isn't surprised though, most of them are still rather new to the concept. She lets out a sigh as she sits upon her dark blue throne. The hall she's in is almost a photo-negative variant of her sister's throne room, lots of black and dark blues around. She finds her attention gained as the throne room doors come flying open. Her face lights up as she watches Anon stroll into her court. "Yo," he says with a wave. Luna rises from her throne and quickly trots down to him, and takes him into an embrace.
It's so good to see you!
She leans back so she can face him.
How did you get here?
Anon rolls his eyes. "Luna, you made a link between our minds. This place is literally a door in my head." Luna then feels her cheeks redden.
Oh, yes, I almost forgot about that.
She lets go of Anon and returns to her throne.
So, what is it that you require?
Anon shrugs. I thought you were probably bored. Want to go on a dream hunt again? Luna would jump in joy right now if it wasn't for the fact that she's in her court at this moment. Well, it's not like any pony else is around, so she jumps from her throne with a certain filly-like squeal of delight.
Oh, Anon, I've been waiting for another night where we could browse dreams together.
Anon rubs the back of his neck. Yeah, well, after last time, you understand why I've been so resistant. Luna feels her face become slightly hotter. She gives him a nod.
Yes, perhaps we should avoid the dream of your friend's mate.
Anon rubs the back of his neck as he feels his own face become red. To think Lyra has rather graphic dreams about him is something that he could have lived without knowing. Anyways. He clears his throat. Shall we? He waves towards the door behind her throne. She smiles at him and waves him over with her wing. Anon takes his place by Luna's side as she throws open the door they stand before. Darkness. That's all that was behind the door. Luna then looks over at Anon.
Your hand.
She states. Oh, right. He quickly rests his hand onto the small of her back. She gives him a nod as they take one step inside. It happens in an instant. One moment they're looking into a world of blackness, and then they're standing inside a room full of doors and hallways. Anon has been here only once before. Every time he sees this, he can't help but feel impressed. I can't believe you created all of this in your head, he says to Luna. She gently hip checks him with her flank.
I've been doing this for a very long time, Anon. The court in and of itself is just a simple thought to me nowadays.
So how are ponies taking the idea of going to night court?
They're still confused about the idea. I've had only a few come by, and even then it was hard for them to maintain their consciousness in my dream.
She looks to him with a grin.
To think you do it so easily. We would believe that you were trained in dream magic.
Anon scoffs. Magic? Me? No. That's just a human thing.
Your answer for everything, it seems.
She says with some snark. Says the pony that uses magic for everything she can't explain. He mumbles to himself as they continue down the hall. The both of them look at each door carefully. Luna, while concentrated at the task at hoof, is also happy to be here with Anon. Many of the ponies of this generation do not yet understand the concept of dream walking. It's why her night court is so empty most of the time. They enter into the dream that she created, which is her courts, but they soon start to fade to black in their own dreams if they didn't maintain concentration. However, Anon has never had this problem. He could easily blend in any dream and know where he stood at all times. She found it very odd that a creature could do such a thing with nary a single thought. But then again, Anon's dreams are often far more detailed than many of the ponies that she's ever seen. She's happy that he's here though. Court can be rather boring for her at times. Anon was looking at each door as they walk by. One actually catches his attention. A large sun symbol plastered onto the front of it. But that's not all. 2 large chains are wrapped around it in an X pattern, a large deadbolt placed in the center of it. Anon stops walking as Luna does so as well. Is that what I think it is? He asks, and she nods.
This is my sister's dream. I keep a lock so that no others may try to hoof into what her mind creates.
Anon looks to her, then back at the door. Can we take a peek? Luna shakes her head.
Trust me, Anon. That is not something that you should see.
He can hear a certain edge to Luna's voice. What would I see? He asks.
Her mind, as well as her dreams, are a labyrinth. You will see many things, depending on what path you take. Some things are pleasant, but many of them are not. I've never stepped hoof into her dreams before, yet if they are anything like mine, they are best left alone.
Anon gives a hesitant nod. There's definitely something to Luna's tone that makes him stop his questioning. She continues on as he follows after her. Luna looks at each door, inspecting them as if they contained a flaw if she is to look hard enough. She once told Anon that she could see just by the door alone if the dream the pony is having is bad or not. Anon stops in front of a door that has something that looks familiar to him. 3 balloons. Anon points to the door with his thumb. Do you mind? Luna shakes her head.
I do not mind. Your dream seems to be a pleasant one.
She waves him to the door.
Go. I will continue the search for a nightmare.
He gives her a nod as he opens the door.
Remember!
She calls out.
It's all just a dream.
I know that, he says, just before taking a step past the doorway and into the darkness. Everything goes black for a few moments as he closes the door behind him. A few moments later, everything flashes before his eyes in an instant. Anon looks around and notices that he's in Sugar Cube Corner. As he takes in the entire room, he finds his breath catch slightly. Oh no. Hanging on the wall is a large banner. It reads, "Happy birthday, Anon." How could he have forgotten that his birthday is coming up? He's about to quickly leave the dream, but he stops when he hears a long gasp.
Anon!
He turns around too late as something plows into him, sending him to the ground. He shakes the blurriness away and looks up to who is currently sitting on top of him. Pinkie is sitting on his lap with a large grin on her face.
You came to your birthday party!
She says with total glee.
I've been hoping that this would be the year!
Anon cringes at her enthusiastic mood. Pinkie, while not a friend of his, always went out of her way to throw him a party every year. Having no idea when he was born, Pinkie chose the day that he entered Equestria. However, he never showed up to these parties. He never liked the idea of ponies acting like they cared that he was alive for that one day of the year. He knew that Pinkie meant well, but he never wanted to see those other ponies there, giving him their fake smiles. Anon rubs the back of his neck nervously. Well, it is a dream after all. Yeah, he says. I've been thinking. You put a lot of time and work into making this every year, so I guess I should be thankful for that. Her smile seems to grow even more as she gives him a strong hug. Even in a dream, he can feel the vertebrae in his spine pop some. Pinkie realizes what she's doing and quickly lets him go.
Oh, sorry. I remember how much you don't like being touched.
She says with embarrassment. Anon gets to his feet and dusts himself off. He looks around, unsure. Again, this is a dream, so might as well let the kid enjoy it. He opens his arms wide for her as he turns his head to face the wall to his right. He can see her wide eyes out of the corner of his eyes at his display. Just this once, he says. She jumps onto her hind hooves and wraps him into a hug. He wraps his arms around her as she makes the most of this moment. He feels the sigh leave him. Pinkie always reminds him of Celestia, just in a more childlike way. She's always nice, but he could never find it in himself to let her in. She wouldn't understand like Celestia has. Plus, he gets the feeling that she would get depressed easily if he were to open up. That doesn't make her any less of a good pony, one of a few that he actually says he likes, even if her voice is annoying. They break from their little hug, and Pinkie has a certain glow about her now.
Do you want some cake?
She asks. Anon looks to her, and then the darkness of the world behind her. Seeing as she is creating this dream, she can only create whatever she is actively looking at. Luna told him all about that once, something about visual construction. Keeps the brain from overloading itself and waking up the dreamer. He looks down to see her eyes are really big and watery. Maybe one slice. She cheers again, as she zips off towards the back room of the bakery. Anon just stands there in the darkness as he finds his mind thinking about everything. Damn. His birthday. He needs to make sure that Celestia and Luna never find out about this. Otherwise, they're gonna probably try and throw him a party. Then he shakes his head slightly. He can't think like that, he's trying to be better. He lets out a long sigh. He will tell them he just needs to trust them. Whatever they plan for him is what he'll accept. You can feel his hands start to shake a bit at the thought. He hates how much his body is fighting him.
Here you go.
He looks down to see Pinkie handing him a single slice of cake. Very light on the frosting, something he can't help but grin at. He takes the fork into hand and tears off a small piece. He can see Pinkie watching in anticipation as he brings the food into his mouth. Anon can't taste anything. This is Pinkie's world, so he can't experience strong sensations like she can. But that doesn't stop him from lying, though. It's delicious, Pinkie, he says. She looks about ready to explode any second now. Anon sets the plate down onto a table. I gotta head to work, Pinkie. Thank you, he says. He notices her smile slip some, but she still looks happy as she can be.
Alright, do you want me to save you some cake?
She asks, and Anon nods. Bring it by my place? She nods quickly.
Sure.
Alright, see you then. Anon turns away and towards the front door of Sugar Cube Corner. He opens it slightly, as to not let Pinkie see past it. He takes a step into the hallway and closes the door behind him. He lets out a long sigh. Well, so much for that dream, but what was he really expecting?
Enjoy yourself.
Anon jumps slightly as he hears Luna's voice. I guess you can say that, he answers. Any nightmares tonight? She shakes her head.
Not a single one. It's a good night indeed.
Anon could slowly feel himself fading. Seems to be that time, Luna, he says, and she nods.
I'll see you when you wake up.
He gives a nod, as he lets his mind take him away from this dreamscape. It's nice to see Anon coming out of his shell more and more each time. Really shows good improvement. Now let's get on to our friendly donators. Top donators: TacoCat598, Peter Coulthard, J Tin Man, Darkside, Gauntlet, and Only One Thing. Zar630, Strix, Raiden, Narwhals, Black Moonheart, Drake Love Dragon, Pastel Skies, Austin Roland, Crazy Killer 557, Stu Hex, Daspo, Madman Stan, Delta Omega, Jack Hedge, Runescythe 9852, Hunter Norman, Stephen Bingham, Michael Dale Larimore, Dash of Evergreen, Riney Dragonwolf, Ponyman, Tal Rasha, The Toilet Snake, Sword Brother and Mordred, Ron and Wandering, Random Person Man Guy, Easy, Scouchia, Leslie Perkett, Jordan Peterson, Crimson Kid 9, Lightskin, Monster Kitty, Needs a Life, Milan Biahanek, Lightning Cheese, and many more superb people. Thank you all very much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.